Hello, Islanders Nation, and welcome back to another episode of the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I am your host, Son X for X Time, and with me, as always, is the NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame to his game because he is always the same.
I want that to be a little bit more dramatic.
Okay. They say there's no shame to his game because he's always the same.
Our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. Come on. You got to sell.
I'm trying.
Try better. Try harder.
All right. And we also have a special guest star with us.
He's not a special guest.
Very special.
He's a special guest. He's a special guest in my eyes.
He's not
Philz
very
fact.
special.
Very
Philz
special
facts.
guest. A very knowledgeable individual.
Very special guest. I've heard a lot.
He was very respected in all areas of hockey and life, to be honest.
Taking on everything. So before we get into the episode today, we have to do what TJ says is housekeeping. So if you guys like the content, please. What?
But who says?
We don't know TJ anymore.
Oh, that's right.
He's
That's right.
done.
That's right. So if you guys like the content, please like and subscribe. Turn on notifications, everything. Stay updated with the content. And then to get into the show today, free agency, right?
Hold on.
Big stuff.
Hit the like button. If you like us, hit the like button. If you hate us, hit the like button. If you just stumble across us, hit the like button. 2 thumbs way up. If you hate Phil like everyone else does, including his wife and his lovely children, hit the like button.
That's right.
And why do we do this, X? Why do we do this? It
To get
tickles
it out to
me
the
out.
masses.
Tickles
To get
me
it out
out
to the
there,
masses. Get it out to the masses. There we go.
Get it out to the masses.
Get out to the masses. Keep
Now,
everybody informed and updated.
Now, I know we're going to be – and how come there's no title at the top of this? Oh, there it is, I guess. Okay.
Title.
Here's one thing, X, I just want to say before we get in, because everyone knows we're going to be talking about NHL and the Islanders in particular, free agency breakdowns. But what's with the Aurora Borealis that you got going on over the top of your head over there?
I'm excited.
He's up in the Northwest Territories.
That's what it looks like. He's up
lights
there.
He is tonight. He's up in northern Canada.
Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
There you go.
I love it.
All right.
So free agency today.
Actually, yesterday, but
yesterday. That's true. Yesterday. A lot of big moves. Looking at the players that the Islanders had picked up, what are your thoughts?
Hold on. Are you going to tell us who they picked up?
Okay.
Give us any value?
Okay. I'm going to butcher these names.
Oh, this should be fun. Go ahead.
This should be really bad. So they got unrestricted free agent signings. We had Jonathan Drouin, left winger, 2 years, $4 million per. Then we have David, I think it's Richie or Rich.
Okay.
Rittich.
There you go. Look at that.
Close. That was close. That was a goalie for 1 year, $1 million. Maxim Sharbanov, right winger, for 1 year, $975,000. That's a lot of money. We also had Ethan Bear, defenseman, 1 year, $775,000. Those were our unrestricted free agent signings. And then we had our re-signings back. This was the big one. Alexander Romanov. We had a defenseman here, 8 years, $6.25 million per year. Then we had Tony D'Angelo, defenseman, 1 year, $1.75 million. And I remember, Grumpy, you had referenced earlier in some other shows, you knew that they were going to sign him back.
Absolutely.
You knew it. You'd been talking about it. I think our last 2 episodes, you said he's definitely coming back. And sure enough, you were right. Simon Holstrom, left winger. Now, I have heard of Holstrom before. I have heard his name in the past.
You probably only heard good things in your house about that.
What have you heard about?
I don't really know if it was great things. I just remember hearing them. So, 2 years, $3.625 million per year. Emil Henneman.
Close enough for government work.
Okay. Left winger, 2 years, $1.1 million. And then we had Julian Gauthier. No. Gauthier. That's it. Gauthier. Right winger, 1 year, $775,000.
This one should be fun.
And then Liam Foodie.
There you go.
Oh, look at that. You got lucky.
Center, 1 year, $775,000.
As anyone who's listened to this show for any amount of time knows, neither of my children can read.
That's right. No. Hey, you know what? At least we're consistent.
They are half Polish.
So. Oh, yeah, that's it. I blame your half.
It's the public schools down there. I'm telling you.
It's the public. Here's the worst thing. I sent it to private school.
You sent it to private.
Yeah. So imagine how bad it would have been otherwise.
Get a refund then.
Yeah.
Get that refund.
Now X, he's new to this, Phil. So I kind of had to help him along with some type of questions, so that he wouldn't look so hockey illiterate. And X is doing his best. You know what he's been doing? He's been shooting me texts. Hey, this guy signed for the Islanders. Hey, this guy signed for the Islanders. So
I do know big news about other teams. I do know that as well.
Yeah. See, so he knows a lot of stuff. Not a whole lot. He just knows just enough to be dangerous, is what I'm going to say.
Where do you want to start, Grumpy? Want to go in order?
Let's go in order. Let's go in order now.
Well, I feel like you guys already covered all the Romanov stuff. Probably on.
No.
Have you not?
Well, we kind of did, but then we got that little article. We got that article from
we got
RG.
that article. We could talk about that article.
Absolutely.
I can put it up here.
Well, let's put the article up later. Because I think there's a Matthew Darsh question in there somewhere, and I think the article kind of plays into that.
Sure. Okay. We can talk about the article.
So
very, very interesting article, which it gives insight into how much these players actually are involved in the negotiation process, and the answer is 0. But we'll talk about that.
So let's talk about Jonathan Drouin, shall we?
We can talk about Drouin
because we've had a little.
You want to go right to dessert?
Of course I do.
Okay.
You got to make sure that people want to watch early. If you watch some of these other YouTube pages, everything's great now. Everybody they sign is a steal from the NHL. I thought they were working for you, actually, when I listened to some of their stuff. Julian Gauthier and Liam Foodie. Oh my God, they just ripped off the NHL.
Absolutely, we did.
It's embarrassing. Now, I have said that I am a fan of the Jonathan Drouin signing for 2 years, but you don't like that. Tell me why, Phil.
Okay, I'm not saying I don't like it. Well, I think we had a bit of an X factor kind of thrown in a couple hours ago when they signed Shabanov, which kind of calls into question as to where all the puzzle pieces are going to fit now, right? So you signed Drouin, 2 years, $4 million. There are going to be no issues this year or next year for the Islanders with the cap. So I don't really care about the cap implications, just given the term. Is it an overpay? Is it an underpay? It really doesn't matter. Based on Darsh's commentary of we wanted to give ourselves cost certainty here for 2-3 years down the line, there's a very easy scenario where you could see if the Islanders aren't good, that Jonathan Drouin gets something decent back in return at next year's trade deadline. So you have a guy, you play him with Bo Horvat, which is what the plan is initially to start, and maybe he continues to produce at or near a level that he did in Colorado, and everything works out fine. But then the question for me was, all right, is there someone else you're going to maybe try to get in to the top 6? Maybe not this year, but what about next year? And what purpose does Jonathan Drouin serve on more than a 1-year term where potentially next year you could be looking at him blocking someone? Now they signed Shabanov, and we'll read some quotes from on Shabanov from some scouts later. I saw someone put out a scouting report on elite prospects, and we could pull that up and talk about whether or not he's someone whose game will translate to the NHL. But if the plan is for him to be on the roster, then, I mean, where are you putting him, right? Isn't that someone whose skills would lend themselves to a top 6 left wing role? But you just signed Jonathan Drouin there. So is he potentially blocking Shabanov from being able to use those great puck skills he has, his speed, his elusiveness? I don't know. I guess it remains to be seen as to how things play out in training camp. But I think giving him the second year there is more of an issue for me than if they would have just signed him on a 1-year deal. That's all.
Okay. I don't have a problem with 2 years. I look at it this way. Maybe they look at it a couple of different ways. Maybe they look at it as, well, Anders Lee's only going to be here for 6 months, and we're going to be trading him at the deadline. We got Anthony Duclair. He'll probably quit on the team after 10 or 15 games like he did last year. So maybe they're going to need those extra bodies to play that left wing spot. That's a distinct possibility, Bill. I have no problem with it. I'm looking at 2 years, $4 million. They got to put somebody out on the ice until they turn the ship around.
Grumpy.
And I think you cut. Yes.
Why is Lee only going to be there for 6 months?
I mean, the idea is that they would trade Anders Lee at the trade deadline.
Oh, okay.
He's an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year.
Okay, gotcha. So they want to get rid of him.
Decent chance he gets moved.
Let me finish my statement before you blow him with a question.
I was just wondering why he was only going to be here for 6 months. So.
Okay. Well, you can use your inside voice and wait until I finish instead of interrupting as usual.
It's no fun in that. All right.
Fiance Y would be very, very unhappy with you right now. You know that. So, I think you're going to see a lot of players, or potentially some players, absolutely moving out at the deadline because of where the team is structurally right now. Nowhere near in contention mode. I don't even think they're a threat to make the playoffs next year. I know we're going to talk about, are the Islanders better right now than they were last year? We'll talk about that. Phil has some ridiculous scenario I'm certain about, if all the stars align and every other thing.
No.
I'm a pragmatist.
The only thing I'll say on that is that the Metro is so bad that it's kind of hard to know what the hell will happen in this division. That's all.
Well, I can guarantee the Islanders are going to be one of the bottom 3 teams in the division. That much I can guarantee you. It doesn't matter unless all the other teams disband. There's a possibility as well. So
they might disband. They might disband Columbus. They just might forget that it exists. Cancel all their games, right?
That's it. Making friends in Columbus. Good job, Phil. So for me anyway, I don't mind the Drouin signing. The only 2 signings I didn't like were the 2 Islanders that we signed back. I mean, we know how bad they are, and we just brought them back, which I just think is stupid. But
Which two?
Romanoff and Palmieri.
Oh.
We've beaten the Palmieri horse to death. A team at this particular where they are in regards to the future of the squad, you didn't need to re-sign Kyle Palmieri, and certainly not at that dollar amount.
There's no real. I mean, what's the difference between Palmieri and Drouin?
Drouin's a new guy, and he's 30, and he scores more points than Palmieri. Other than that, nothing.
He doesn't score goals though.
But he scores more points. He got more points, Phil.
It depends on who he plays with. I mean, maybe he might not. I mean, he's had seasons where he's had like 2 goals.
I don't care about
that. He is kind of like a Walmart version of Josh Bailey, is how I would say.
Oh God, he's better than Josh Bailey.
He's not better than Josh Bailey.
He's so much better than Josh Bailey. His thing, we all can admit that he's better than Kyle Palmieri, the F-.
He's definitely not better than Kyle Palmieri.
He's way better, infinitely better. But no, so Jonathan Drouin, I like that signing. I didn't have a problem with it. I've kind of always liked Drouin. I don't think he's a great player, but his father played for the Islanders, and what the heck? Give him a roll of the dice. He certainly was not worthy where he was drafted number 3 overall. Nope. But you know what? For a year or 2, what's the difference? It doesn't matter. I'd rather see him more than Anthony Duclair. He'll quit out right in the middle of a shift if he feels like it. So, I don't know how they get him back on the ice. Supposedly everything is ironed out.
He'll have a big year this year. I'm not worried about Duclair.
Okay, now Phil's a big Duclair fan.
I'm a huge Duclair fan.
Well,
Cut
I'm
him
just,
some slack. He tore his groin last year. He'll be fine.
He sucks.
And he's a little sensitive. He needs to be treated with a little more respect from Patrick Waugh. That's all.
I'm going to ask you a question. Was he on that team that won the Stanley Cup?
Anthony Duclair?
Who? Drouin?
Druin.
No, he's not. No.
Oh, he wasn't. Okay. I was going to say, that would have been a positive. You bring some, playoff
He
experience.
has never won a cup.
Okay. Never mind then.
No.
And he's not winning one as long as he plays for the Islanders.
We'll see. This might be the year.
So,
Never know.
This might be the year. You never know. In the NHL, anything could happen.
Oh, God. I don't know if you knew
I wish
this.
TJ was here so he could hear me say things like that.
Well, here's the thing.
His eyes, wouldn't he?
I don't know if you knew this, X, but Phil used to be the leader of the Lamanites.
Mm-hmm.
But
I do
now
remember
he used to be.
about that.
You don't ever stop leading the Lamanites. I mean,
Now he's the leader of the Philistines.
The Philistines. That's it.
The same, those, ridiculous people who just buy whatever he says. And,
They just rebranded.
here's what Phil likes to do on Twitter, X. He likes to print up something really fancy and, like this is some big news article, but there's no author on it. It's Phil because he has so much time on his hands. He types up these ridiculous scenarios.
nothing ridiculous.
It gets people to
It's
buy
analysis. It's expert analysis and observation about the happenings around the team this summer, and I think people appreciate it. People have been commenting, DMing me to trust in the blueprint, and we could talk about how Darsh has masterfully executed on the blueprint so far this summer.
I like
in.
that.
See,
I
that's why I
like that name.
I like. Here's the thing. Here's why Phil likes X. I'm going to tell you right now because X is not going to run him down. If he hears something pithy and cute and funny,
That's what I was going to say. I was like, that was neat. That was good play on words.
I mean, that's how you sell X on things. Oh, look, it's got a fancy little name. He's one of the minions who could be tricked into listening to Bill. We all know he's just a liar who likes to gaslight the fan base.
I don't gaslight.
I will say once I start watching this year, dedicating my time to watching, then I'll start to get a better feel for the team.
Son X will appreciate the blueprint once he sees it in October.
All right. Once I see us making it the Stanley Cup playoffs and then the finals.
Well, I think what you're going to wind up seeing is be eligible for the first pick in the draft again next year.
Hey, there's no problem with that.
I have no problem with that. No problem with that at all. Okay, who else do we want to look at? X, anybody in particular?
Tony DeAngelo.
All right, let's look at Tony DeAngelo.
Came in for less term and less money than you said. I told you he was going to be probably 1 or 2 years at $2 million. I was right in the wheelhouse.
I said, no, isn't that what I said? I thought you said one.
No, I said you thought he would be like 4 years, $4 million.
I remember. Yes,
I didn't think he was going to be.
You originally said that you thought that they were going to oversign him.
Oversign, yeah. You thought they would overpay him because there aren't many right-handers. And by the way, in fairness to you, about the unavailability of right-handed defensemen, John Klingberg, who sucks, signed for $4 million with the Sharks. Cody Ceci, $4.5 million, 4 years with the Kings. There were right-handed defensemen who were just not any good, getting tons of money. So Tony absolutely gave them a really, really sweetheart deal here.
I thought he'd be 2 years at $2 million per. I thought it was a good deal.
Okay, 2 years at $2 million per also wouldn't be too much.
No, not considering what everybody's signing for. And boy, that Noah Dobson contract is looking better and better every single day.
For the Islanders.
Well, no, for Montreal.
We got some
and for the rest of the NHL.
Look, they're going to be picking up a lot of pucks from the back of their net when he's on the ice for $9.5 million.
Tony DeAngelo doesn't play for Montreal, Phil.
No, Noah the Slob. Noah Slobson, as they call him.
Here's the thing. Phil never liked. There's certain players he didn't like. Ilya Sorokin hates him.
Sorokin's growing on me. I watched that interview with him. I thought it was funny. You saw that Russian talk show, whatever.
I did not. I
need to dig up this clip. Son X will play this clip because it's a very funny clip. I just need to find it.
Yeah,
you can keep going. I'll DM it to you.
But Phil tends to hate the best players on the team, and he gravitates towards the trash. Like he hated Dobson, the best defensive player on the team. Matt Barzal hates him, despises him, best skater on the team. And then Ilya Sorokin, the franchise goaltender, hates him. What do you call him? Slobroken? Do you call him Slobroken? So like I said, and then of course Slobson. I think the only thing he names everything Slob in the front. So Slobzal. I don't know, but he tends to hate the best players on the team. Where he likes guys like Casper Holmstrom, who before last year was just an afterthought. Patrick Waugh gets full credit for Simon Casper Holmstrom. And here's the thing, I thought he was overpaid a little bit, considering what he's done so far. But they had a lot of money. They were kind of up against the cap now. They still have Siplikov to sign, but I'm not disappointed.
They're not up against the cap. They've got plenty of space.
$1.5 million is what they got.
They do.
1.5 million.
You're just missing. They've got 5.1 million in space.
1.5 million. 1.5 million. I looked at it. I just looked at it 2 minutes ago. 1.5.
You're looking at a Puckpedia page that has 24 people listed on it.
1.5 million.
I'm sorry, it has 25 people listed on it. You don't carry 25 men. You only carry 23.
I don't want you to do your little mental gymnastics trying to sing the Islanders have more money. They do not. Now they can spend up to 10% over the cap in the offseason.
Matthew Highmore is listed on there. They have Isaiah George listed there. They have Cal Ritchie listed there. They've got other guys who probably aren't going to be on the team listed there. You can't carry 25 players. You can only carry 23. They have 3 goalies listed there. You can't carry 3 goalies.
Well, they can do whatever they want. They can carry 3 goalies if they choose.
That means that you're going to be taking away one of the forwards. So,
well, they're not.
No matter how you slice it,
they're not going to, though, because Semyon Varlamov is going to be on long-term injury, which is why they signed David Rittich.
Well, look, if Varlamov's on long-term injury, that's another $2.75 million in space they could use.
Imagine they never should have signed him, just like I said in the Wayback Machine, Phil. I guess I was proven right on that one too, correct?
No, I like that deal. I like it because I think he'll play. Darsh said he's coming along nicely in his rehab. I would be very scared of having David Rittich as the backup goalie because he's, to be quite honest, he's not very good. So we'll see.
Your pal Stefan Rosner said that he's had a setback in his recovery process. I don't think he's ever going to play again.
Did he say he had a setback in his recovery process?
Yes, he did.
When did he say that?
Today.
Where did you see that?
Today. I got it on my little Twitter machine.
You got to pull that up. I didn't see that anywhere.
All right. Well, I can't do it now. You know how I am on these things.
Right.
He has a setback.
Grump, I'll look it up. Who was it?
Go ahead. You look that up. But like I said, David Rittich, when we saw, well, let's get back to Tony DeAngelo. They obviously needed to sign Tony DeAngelo back when you lose Noah Dobson. Had to happen. I feel that you're looking at what they did with Romanoff for the ridiculous term and ridiculous money for what he's given the Islanders over the last few years. It's a wild overpay, way too much money and way too much term for Romanoff. When you look at what the Islanders have coming up in the system as a left shot defenseman, right? You still have Pelech. He's there for at least 4 years. You have, this is barring trades, of course. You have Schaefer, who's going to be there long-term. You have Aitchison, who is probably going to be up with the team within the next 3 years. I didn't see the need to sign Romanoff to an 8-year extension. I just thought that was crazy. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, it's long. If he was a right-handed defenseman, I would see it, but they've got nothing. They've got nothing on the right. But in terms of left-handed defensemen, if you even throw in some of the other, let's call them wild cards. I know they like Isaiah George. They drafted Pulkkinen with a pretty high pick last year. 6'6" defender with decent mobility. They drafted O'Dalius in the second round 3 years ago. So they've got guys in the system on the left side who, at some point, either need to try to challenge for jobs. Maybe you want to get a look at them at some point, especially if you're going on a route where you want to test and develop people in the NHL at some point. And he's going to occupy a spot for a very long time. He just will. It's a very curious decision because if you look at the positions of strength, so to speak, for the Islanders or where they have capacity or surplus, whatever you want to call it, they've got a lot of centers and they've got a lot of left-handed defensemen. Those are the two areas where you just, it's curious. It's very curious and odd and probably bad decision to have done that.
I would go as far to say it's poor roster management, Phil.
Yeah. I mean, not roster management, just long-term planning management.
There you go. That's roster management, Phil. That's what I'm saying.
Did you see the video I just showed you? I just
No.
DM'd you on X.
Gotcha. I'm pulling it up now.
Come on, X.
So this was the video I saw of Sorokin. He did an interview with these Russian hockey folk, if you will.
Is he speaking in Russian or is he speaking?
He's speaking, but there's subtitles. But it was pretty funny. There were a number of clips in there, but this one I thought was cute.
Varlamov has had no setbacks, Grumpy.
Yeah. All right. Now you're going to make me look for that. Right?
I'm sorry. It was posted on July 1st.
Darsh said he is trending positive toward playing. So
he's not playing.
Maybe Darsh is just lying.
He's lying.
I don't think he's lying. I think he's an honest guy. We call him Honest Darsh.
Okay, we're going to be at the bottom here.
This isn't Sorokin, is it?
This is Sorokin. He's got a little beard now.
What's going on with the hair, too? He didn't used to have that little curly hot top.
Хелебок или Флори? Флори или Василевский?
Hold on. You gotta blow it up so people could see the subtitles because the banner's blocking it.
Yeah, come on.
But basically, the Russian host is asking who he prefers, stacking up goalie against goalie.
Okay. Can you make that a little bit bigger, X?
Yes.
So pick your top goalie is the question.
There we go. Pick your top goalie. This should be fun.
I lowered it a little bit too because it was kind of loud. Okay.
Скиннер или Хелебок? Хелебок или Флори? Флори или Василевский? Василевский или Биллингтон? Василевский или Стовартс? Василевский или Густавсон? Василевский или Варламов?
Oh, come on.
Варламов.
Oh, what the hell?
Варламов или Кочетков?
Варламов.
Варламов или Самсонов?
Варламов.
Варламов или Бобровский?
Oh, please. Don't do it. Don't do
Не
it.
могу предать Варламова. Варламов.
Варламов или Шестеркин?
Тут могу. Шестеркин.
Тогда Шестеркин или Сорокин?
Шестеркин.
Скиннер или Хелебок?
And it just repeats again.
That's pretty funny.
I can't believe you. Okay, you can't take anything he says seriously. He should be. As a matter of fact, when he
Now
retired,
you hate Sorokin. Now you hate Sorokin. Now you
No,
think
I
he's overpaid because he picks Varlamov over Bobrovsky.
no. Here's what I think. When I see the way he judges talent, he's probably as soon as he retires, he's going to be like the next general manager for the Islanders. He'll fit right in with everybody else they hire for that spot.
And then Grumpy, here is the post, in case you were wondering.
He's a good boy. He can't betray Varlamov.
Says has had no setback in his rehab, and that was posted on July 1st.
Yeah, I think you just read it wrong, Grump.
That's possible, but it looks like that was edited after the fact.
It was not edited.
It's not edited.
Right now. You can pull it up right
If
now.
it was edited.
He's had a
Yeah, I
setback.
mean, look, Rittich is a better third goalie than they've had in recent years, and last year was the first time they ever had to use a third goalie. So it's insurance. It's an insurance policy in the event that either Varlamov can't start the season or if Varlamov goes on LTIR. He's there. Is he any good? No, not really.
He's okay. He's okay.
He was pretty darn bad last year on a very, very good defensive team.
If he plays for this team, I expect his numbers to be a lot worse, just because we have no defense. Phil, if you're looking at defense pairings, what are we looking at right now?
You're looking at Pelech Polak.
Right.
You are looking at Romanov, D'Angelo. And then you are looking at Mayfield plus there. And here comes the wild card. And we could get into this right now.
Yep.
Will he or won't he? Will Schaefer be on the team or won't he be on the team? I saw someone who put out today that Dennis Seidenberg's son posted on TikTok that the team has asked for Seidenberg to once again host a young rookie named Matthew Schaefer. So if he's going to be living at Seidenberg's house, I think the implication of that is that they are preparing him to play this season. Here's where I think it goes. I think at the very least, to get butts and seats for the first 9 games, they are going to give him the first 9 games because there is no harm in terms of contract status in doing that. The ELC will slide as long as he doesn't hit 10. Depending on how he looks, and maybe even depending on ticket sales, will determine as to what management, and I think ownership is going to have a hand in this as well, as to what they do with him. I'm curious to see if in the next couple of days, if he commits to a college program, because I don't think it would serve him to go back to the OHL. The OHL, and I think all Canadian junior hockey leagues at this point are going to become a much more watered down product with a lot of the better players opting to go to the NCAA. And conversely, I think the NCAA is going to be a lot stronger, which will, I guess, reshape the landscape of scouting and evaluation of players going into drafts moving forward. But if he's not going to go to the NHL, then the most logical spot for him to go would be the NCAA and for him to find a program to go to.
How do you feel? I agree with you on all that. For the development of the player and for the future development of the Islanders team, what do you think how do you think they should handle the Matthew Schaefer situation this year?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're not trying to win a Stanley Cup this year. I don't even know if they're trying to get into the playoffs this year. So I don't see why you would burn the year off the ELC. Had he played a full season last year, maybe I'd think differently, but he didn't, right? His season was over in December. He hasn't played competitive hockey in a very long time. By the time we get to October, it'll have been 10 months until he played a meaningful game of hockey. So I personally think he's so young. He's still 17. He's not going to be 18 for another 2 months from now. I think it probably makes the most sense for him to go to college and take it from there. Take a year.
I hate to agree with Phil because he's usually wrong on everything. But like I said, I'm starting to rub off on him. He finally made a take that makes sense. And it's something I believe in also. There's no way. I played him the 9 games, and I'm like, great. I don't care how good he looks. He could look like the second coming of Bobby Orr, and I'm still sending him down. I want him to play in every single situation. I want him to get the experience for the same reasons you say, Phil. The fact that he hasn't played a whole lot, and he's so young. And it makes us a worse team, which includes which should improve our draft position for next year, which is really all I care about at this point.
You got to let him develop.
Got to let him develop, X.
Don't rush him.
I mean, look, odds are if he plays in the NHL, he's probably not going to be all that great anyways. You know, he's 18. Most 18-year-old defensemen, even the high pedigree players at all positions, right? Look at Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes' rookie year wasn't good. And he's a forward. It's easier to come in and play forward than it is defenseman. So
Connor Bedard.
Well, no, Bedard was good. He was better. He was better than Hughes. He didn't blow the doors off, I guess you could say.
But he was not what everybody had hyped him up to be.
Not yet. Celebrini was really, really good. You know, sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't.
Watch out. X is out of his depth now. You mentioned Celebrini. He knows Bedard.
I know Bedard because he's popular.
Okay, there you go, X. He knows Bedard because he's popular.
I'm not even going to lie.
But X, seriously, though, if you look at it, the defensemen who've come in at a little bit advanced age, the last who were like Adam Fox, Cale Makar, they did not come in as 18-year-old.
Both of those guys came in with some college seasoning on them.
And they came in to hit the ground running. And that's
Fox won the Norris in his second year.
But I mean, and see, that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to the Islanders. I think they've drastically improved their prospect pool this offseason. And I think one more year,
top 5 prospect pool at this point.
Well, we're going to find out soon enough. They're absolutely top 10. It wouldn't surprise me if they were top 5.
Right.
That being said, I want these guys to develop, including Callum Ritchie. I want these guys to develop so when they hit the league, they're ready to step in and they could really juice the franchise. I don't want guys to learn in the NHL anymore.
Let's talk about Callum Ritchie because that's a lot of these forward signings make things interesting on that front. I think with the way Lou had talked about Ritchie as someone who he views as being prepared for the NHL, where we left off from that standpoint, you know, everyone was under the assumption, okay, we're trading for Ritchie and Ritchie's going to be D+3. He'll be in the NHL next year. And I think up until yesterday, it seemed like a slam dunk, and now kind of doesn't. Now I have a hard time, you know, even before they signed Shabanov, and we could talk about Shabanov too, seeing where he's going to slot in if they're not going to be trading anyone out like Pajot or Cizikas. And now they've got, by my count, 16 forwards competing for 12 playing spots. And Ritchie can't be an extra. He can't sit in the press box. So he either needs to be in the 12 or he needs to be on Bridgeport's top line. So how do you see that shaking out?
Me, I think that you let Callum Ritchie play in the minors until the trade deadline. When you move J.G. Pajot, that opens up a spot for him because I don't want him on fourth line. I don't want that kid playing on fourth line. If he's going to play for me, he's got to play third line minutes. I'm not afraid to let him percolate a little bit down there, play every single situation. I don't care about this year on the ice, the on ice product. I do not. To me, it's all about building towards next year's draft and free agency. That's what it's about for me. This year is a write-off for me. So I don't care if we play Joe Dots, Stanley Steamer, and anybody else who comes in as opposed to bring those young guys up. I don't want them to struggle. I want them to be ready and hit the ground running. They do come in, give him time in the Islanders organization till the trade deadline. When you move J.G. Pajot, Anders Lee opens up some spots, and then you give him a shot for, the last 2 months of the season. That's what I want to see. And then next year, he's guaranteed to be a starting center for the team. That's what I want to see with him. I don't care. That's my whole thing. It's about making sure these young men are ready to make an impact when they do join the team.
Don't hate it.
There you go. Again, see? There you go. Look at that. I shut Phil up. I like that. This is going to be a good relationship, I think, X.
I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, if you just counted out numbers of centers, number of wingers they have, right?
It's a lot.
You've got guys who are guaranteed spots. Like, if you start at the top, they just said Drouin's going to play with Horvat. So let's just call it Drouin, Horvat. I don't think they're going to play Barzal with them. It doesn't make sense to have Drouin and Barzal on the same line. I think the intention there is that they're going to split them up and have them each have their own line. So you go, let's just call it Drouin, Horvat, Palmieri. And then you could have, let's call it Lee, Barzal, Siplikov, or Lee, Barzal, Holmstrom, whatever. And then you go Duclair, Pajot, and the other one of Holmstrom or Siplikov. And then your fourth line, sounds like Heinemann's going to play. It sounds, if Darsh had insisted that he be thrown in, I think the intention is for him to play. Your fourth line center is probably Cizikas, which means McLean, I would suspect, would get waived down to the minors. And then on the right wing, I guess, if Shabanov's going to be here,
he can't play.
He also has to play, right? Because I don't even think he'll sign up to go to the press box. I think he'll go back to Russia if he's not getting playing time, and he's certainly not going to go to the AHL. So somewhere on the third or fourth line, let's flip him with Siplikov. Siplikov on the fourth line, Shabanov on the third line, and then in the press box, I guess you would have Pierre Engvall and Mark Gacombe. That's how that would look right now.
My God. How bad was that Pierre Engvall signing, Phil?
I'd love it. Great utility player, can be relied upon in all situations.
And he serves a real mean barbecue sandwich to the people.
Absolutely.
In the
I don't even have him in the lineup.
He sucks.
I would put him in the lineup. I just know what Wall would do.
Okay. I think you're going to think this is crazy, X and Phil. Don't spit your drink. Pierre Engvall needs to play on the roster next year based on what he showed at the end of the year. Patrick Roy, his best coaching job since he's been here has been getting Simon Holmstrom and Pierre Engvall, those two softy Swedes, to turn them into actual legitimate NHL players, not afraid to go into the tougher areas. And I think Engvall should play. I absolutely do.
I would play him over Cizikas. I would put him at 4C.
That's not happening.
I know, because he likes Cizikas.
But I think you're going to see.
Darsh, maybe I would even trade Cizikas. Again, it's not about the cap savings because you don't save much cap with that. But if you're, I'd rather have Engvall play than Cizikas play. I'm with you.
And Shabanov, say his name again.
Shabanov.
That's it, Shabanov. If he's going to play, he shouldn't be on the third or the fourth line. He should be on the scoring line.
Here is the scouting opinion that I read just a little while ago from where was this from? Elite Prospects, or who posted this? Someone had posted this. It was a question to Dylan Griffin, who watches Russian hockey for Elite Prospects. Okay, so this is coming from Elite Prospects, Russian hockey scout. Will his game translate to the NHL? If not right now, what would need to improve? So he wrote, I struggle with seeing a smooth transition to the NHL. It's not for lack of skill in Shabanov. He's a very talented player, but there is an objective difference between how defense is played in the KHL versus the NHL. In the NHL, space creation is much more difficult, and relying on slipping off the radar of the opponent is not a tactic that breeds success. The obvious limitation comes through his size as well. He avoids physical play like the plague, which works enough at the KHL level with the level of engagement that defensemen have. However, in the NHL, he won't have the luxury of being able to pull off a quick spin to put his back to the defender to open up his playmaking game because of how much more aggressive NHL defenders are to close off plays like that. In terms of improvements to make, it's a bit tough to say before he starts playing games in North America. There's always a chance that his skill and speed clears the physical gap, but in my opinion, Shabanov is what he is at this point. He's highly skilled, pacey, and loves to carry the puck through the middle. If you take out the inside game, he may just be a perimeter playmaker, where he has the vision and passing skill to succeed. However, we're looking at a player who can get stuck to the walls, which is a recipe for disaster with his frame. It's a Nikita Gusev type situation, a player who is too good for the KHL, but might just not have the NHL style in him. You're on mute, Grumpy.
Yeah, he's not making it. He weighs 147 pounds, whatever it is. I don't know, 98 pounds. He's not making it. Can you imagine him skating across the middle doing a little dipsy doodle against the Florida Panthers?
You get the Atchison treatment.
What kind of treatment, X?
The Atchison treatment.
There you go.
Just a little piece of interesting breaking news. We have a Brent Burns landing spot.
Let's hear it, Phil.
The Colorado Avalanche.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wasn't he making like $8 million a year?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I'm curious. I would assume the number is going to be very low.
You know what I think? That signing has just made Colorado's pick get a little bit better for the Islanders.
There you go. That's the right way to look at it.
That's the way, because Brent Burns cannot play anymore.
Isn't he like almost 40?
Yeah, he's more than 40. He's got to be.
always
He's
40.
got to be at least 40. Burnsy is 40 on the nose.
40, and let's be honest, he can't play anymore.
He's very slow out there. He takes up a lot of space, but he is slow.
Yeah, he's a bottom pairing guy at this point in time. So yeah, good news for us. Colorado just got worse today, which means that we're moving up. That's all I got to say in the draft. We're moving up. Get ourselves another couple of first-round draft picks. Let's parlay those into some really talented players next year, and then we're ready to go.
Start the rebuild.
Yeah. So, X, I know there were some other questions fed to you, not like you came up with them.
Well, I think you had come up with a question here. What do you feel about the contracts in regards to dollar amounts and the term of the deals as well?
Or both. I think we mostly covered that already.
I feel like you did.
did.
And then, which free agent signing do you think has the best chance to impact the main roster?
Go ahead, Phil. Why don't you tackle that one?
I mean, are we including like re-signings as well, or
we already know what we have in re-signings, right?
Oh, you're saying of the new? Well, there's only 2 new guys. So
okay. I'll say, who do you expect the most improvement on going into next year based on the contract? I think it's easy, but you tell me, who do you think is going to make the most impact, either re-sign or unrestricted?
Tony DeAngelo.
Yep, it's DeAngelo. He's going to get a lot of. Now he's probably going to be like a minus 90 by the end of the season playing with Romanov. That's going to be the worst defense pairing in the history of the NHL. You watch. They played together for how many games last year? And I think they were minus. I mean, Romanov was like a plus 20 something, and then he played with Romanov, and he dropped
With
10 real quick. DeAngelo, yeah.
He's not any good defensively. They're going to have to figure out ways to shelter him better.
When they describe Romanov, it's always, he leads in block shots and hits. He also leads in goals allowed when he's out on the ice. He's horrible.
He does not lead in goals allowed when he's out on the ice. That part's terrible. Just not true.
He leads in minus.
Poor Noah Dobson got a bad rap when he played with that piece of trash. You're going to watch Noah Dobson. He's probably going to win Conn Smythe for certain after they win the Stanley Cup.
But they're going to win the cup?
Probably going to beat Florida. And
That's a bold take, Grump.
Norris Trophy winner for certain. He's going to be in the top 3. I mean, he's great. The guy's fantastic. Here's the thing. Islander fans are going to realize, particularly ones that don't like him, I don't want to see that smirk on your face again. I'll smack it right off, Phil. What you're going to see, they're going to go, oh, you know what? Man, we really miss Noah Dobson. I think that's a huge loss for them.
Let me ask you this. Who is going to be Mayfield's partner if it's not Schaefer?
Um,
Are they going to go with Boquist on his left side?
no.
Are they going to go with Isaiah George?
Maybe. They like
He
him.
would be leading candidate, I think.
Why not?
Yeah.
See if
He's
he's part
talking
of
about how he
the-
looks like a man amongst boys at development camp right now, which development camp really means nothing in June because these, they're going at about a tenth of speed. But he had a 30-ish game flavor of it last year. Looked good at the beginning, ran out of steam toward the end. I think if it's not going to be Schaefer, he's probably the leading candidate.
I don't. And the thing about Isaiah George, he's only 20. Maybe he's 21 now. I don't know.
He'll
But-
be 21 soon, I want to say.
Okay, he's still a boy. He's still a boy. He's still nowhere near big enough. He doesn't play any defense.
He
but-
turned 21 in February.
okay.
Do you think he'll get that much bigger at being 21?
He's going to put weight on. He's not going to
Why
get
is-
taller.
why is he already put
They have
weight?
him listed at 6'1", 200.
He's not 200 pounds. There's no
I'm
way.
saying that's pretty good size, 6'1", 200.
He's not 200 pounds. I don't care what they said. I mean, unless they were hanging like 25-pound dumbbells off his
I mean, I
arm.
guess, look, he'll weigh in again in September, and we'll see what he weighs in then.
He's not big enough yet. And I think, but what does he bring to the Islanders? He can move the
Speed.
puck. He can move the
Moves the
puck.
puck. Yeah.
And that's what right now they are totally lacking that on the back end. That's where you're going to miss Noah Dobson. Now, D'Angelo can move the puck, but he's so bad defensively. I was hoping the Islanders were going to sign back Mike Riley. Who did Mike Riley go to?
Carolina.
Carolina Hurricanes. Again,
Maniacs.
Carolina Hurricanes. And
Smart signing.
I have been critical of Mike Riley, but you know what? In small doses, Mike Riley's okay. And he's exactly what this team needed, I thought.
Yeah, I would have liked Riley back.
I would have much rather had him on the bottom pairing playing with Mayfield, who's always been better when he plays with a puck mover. Always.
Well, speaking of pairings and Mayfield, I don't know if you saw this, but Nick Leddy was put on waivers today. He's in the
Okay.
last year of his contract, and the Blues are trying to make some cap space. I wonder if there's a reunion to be made.
How old is Nick Leddy?
Probably like 35, if I had to guess.
I'm going to bet he's 36 or 37.
You think so? He's that old?
I think he's that old, and there's no
He's
way.
34.
34. He plays like he's 38 and 39.
Yeah, he still could. He could still skate. But
No.
he's a very
need
good skater.
You know what? I don't need to see the sequel to Nick Leddy.
Wait,
It's like-
hold on. Now, let me ask Grumpy. Would that not be a good signing for the Islanders to make? Because you want them to tank, right?
Nick Leddy.
Okay.
Well, it wouldn't be a signing. It was regular waivers, not unconditional.
Oh, okay.
waivers.
It's not,
So-
I don't, you know what? I didn't like Revenge of the Nerds 4. So
What
I
if they signed back Beauvillier and traded for Leddy at half retained, and then they called Seattle and they traded back for Eberle? I don't know. Maybe we can bring back the Eastern Conference Final teams again and go back to the ECF. What do you think?
I guarantee you we're picking in the top 3 next year without even winning the lottery. That's
and then
fine.
we call Travis Zajac and Andy Green, Leo
Hey,
Komarov, Valtteri Filppula, Oliver
about-
Wahlstrom. Get them all back.
Yeah. What about Parise? Bring him back too.
Well, he wasn't part of those teams. But
Well, that's okay. He sucked at the end as well.
Parise's no, we can't say bad things about Parise. He was a good Islander. Good Islander.
He was
Like
he
him.
was a ham and egger, just like all of them.
He was
But
great.
I think Henneman is going to play. Just talking about lineups. Henneman, there's no way he's not playing. You don't trade. All right, he is the
We
one.
insisted he be in the deal, said Matthew
That's right.
Darsh.
So he's going to play. He's
that's
going.
the kind of thing where if he doesn't play, it's the kind of thing where you could get yourself fired as Patrick Waugh, where it's like, what the hell, man? I just traded for this guy. I said nice things about him. I insisted, like, why isn't he playing?
So
That's how I feel about Hinneman.
So you think it's Patrick Waugh who insisted on him?
No. What I'm saying is that if Patrick Waugh doesn't play him, I could see Darsh getting pissed.
They're letting him go. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think he will play though. I think he will play. He's bottom 6 guy, bottom line, whatever.
He's a fourth liner.
I mean, we got a team of 4th liners, so he fits right in. Honestly, I don't have a problem with that. Play him. What the
Savage.
heck? I don't even care. Like I said, this season, I don't care. I hope they lose. I'm rooting for them to lose this year. It's all about next year. All about next year's draft, next year's free agency. Get rid of the deadwood. Anders Lee. Pull it. Pull. Blow him out. JG Pajot. See you later. I don't want those guys. If you could move a Pellick or a Pulak, you move them too. Can't get too crazy, but those are guys you're going to be looking to move in the next couple of years anyway. They're not moving Romanov, that's for certain.
He's there
And
wrong.
I just want to say one other thing to all these fans who are crestfallen over James Hagens. Oh, you come in. He's gushing about Boston. You would think that he's saying clam chowder and everything the way he's talking up there. He loves Boston.
Now, Grumpy.
He loves Boston.
Grumpy, speaking of Hagens, you were pretty, I'll say, hard on Darsh in your opinions of him. You thought that Hagens was a done deal originally when the draft was coming up. So have you changed your mind now after, Darsh didn't pick him up and decided to pick up two other players?
First of all, I didn't want Hagens.
I know you didn't want Hagens. I was just saying, you were very harsh on Darsh.
I was harsh on Darsh.
Harsh on Darsh. I took one out of Philz.
I don't think I said anything negative about him, did I?
Yeah, you did. Yes, you absolutely did. You said that he was pretty much just like a company guy. He just does whatever the team says.
Like a rubber stamp?
Yeah, rubber stamp. That's it. He doesn't make any of his own decisions.
And PT Darsh, like participation trophy Darsh, the only way he got the job.
PT Darsh.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
You still feel the same way?
Do I still feel the same way? I think he mismanaged the Romanov re-signing. I thought that was terrible. Yeah. I thought re-signing Kyle Palmieri, terrible. I didn't really have a problem with the free agents that he signed or the term that he gave them for the most part. So he gets they're not high-level guys, but I give him a B- there.
But you didn't want to bring in any high-level guys, right?
No, but I'm trying to compliment him.
Yeah.
So it's not like he signed an impact guy unless Drouin comes in and lights the world on fire.
Which he could.
He could.
I would doubt it.
But he's probably not going to. But, maybe he'll be a 50-point guy. You never know.
Could be.
He's going to I think he's going to play on the first line. I really believe he'll play on first.
There's if Barzell and Horvat are not on the same line, so there's first line, second line, it's just going to be top six.
Yeah. And that's where he should be, right? And he made Nate McKinnon as good as he is. He was tough until Drouin got there. Turned him into a star.
Yeah, McKinnon won a Hart Trophy and a Stanley Cup without him, but
but he knew he was coming. That's the problem.
Exactly. He anticipated that Drouin would be there a couple years later, and that's why.
That's it. He's like, oh,
you know what? They didn't win again.
He's like, okay, Jonathan Drouin could be coming here, and it all depends on how I perform. He stepped his game up.
Absolutely.
Stepped it right up. So, yeah. Have I changed my opinion on Darsh? The draft is the draft. I don't know if he had anything to do with that. I'm going to say he did not.
Probably not.
But I think we've seen a shift away in the last couple of years for the guys they were picking. We're more talent-based as opposed to going off the board, which they've done in previous years. So
they didn't do it last year. They didn't do it the year before. It's been a while since they've done that, but it's funny. Someone was arguing with me like, "Well, the draft strategy, just so refreshing, so completely different. The style of player they're looking." I'm like, the GM said his plan A was to trade all these picks and get Hagens, and they wouldn't bite. I'm like, there wasn't some sophisticated plan that Darsh had cooked up in terms of the type of player he wanted. His plan was Hagens. Hagens, stylistically speaking, is very different than Eklund and very different from Atchison. Right? It didn't work out, so what do? They went with the consensus highest ranked guys on the board who happened to have fallen to them. It's not rocket science. I don't think there was any we're profiling a very specific type of player, and
I don't think they were
only going to pick that. I think they just went with best player available and those two spots. In the second round with Prokhorov or whatever his name is, they were looking for someone who's got some meanness and nastiness. I'm not sure that he was the consensus ranked guy in that spot, but I think they were enamored by his size, his physicality, the fact that he decent on his feet, can make plays, and that's what the impetus for that pick was. But everyone who's saying like they're looking for physical compete guys who are dogging, like no, they were looking for James Hagens. That was the plan. It just didn't work out.
I do think their overall draft, every single player high compete level. I think they were looking for that type of player,
which is good,
and I do like that. I'm going to ask you one quick question. Do you think that they might be better off with Aitchison and
Eklund?
Eklund over Higgins.
Very possibly.
I like
it's too
that.
early to know, but it's entirely possible.
See,
Obviously, Higgins has, some people said he has the most upside in the draft potentially, right? Depending on how his game translates to the NHL. He's not small like Shabanov, but he's smaller. Jack Hughes kind of build. A Jack Hughes kind of build guy could miss a lot of games like a Jack Hughes kind of build guy.
Yep.
But from a potential standpoint, he certainly has the much higher ceiling than the two guys we drafted. But when you add it all up, maybe in 5 years from now, we're very, very pleased with what we got.
I'm pleased because I just didn't want that kid on the team.
I hear you.
You know what? He strikes me. He's like a snake oil salesman. Oh, I love the Islanders. Want to win a Stanley Cup with the Islanders.
It's
Boston draft him. Oh man, I've been watching Boston games. I want to go to a team that really wanted me. Oh yeah, I'm glad you're not here, kid. I hate him. I want to see him get.
Honestly, the fan base should remember that.
They should remember that.
Yeah.
They should boo his ass every time he shows up there.
They should.
You know, but if Utah made that deal, then the Islanders still should have stuck with Denoyer.
Yeah,
that's the reality of it.
That's right. He's a better two-way player with size.
Yeah,
Higgins eventually is going to be a winger, I feel.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. X, are there any more questions that?
We got one last question here, and then we can get into some comments. So the last question here that we have is, do you think that the Islanders now are better than they were at the end of last year?
Oh, at the end of last year? Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Do you think maybe the question is, are the Islanders better position to make the playoffs this year as opposed to the beginning of last year?
No, they're not.
Okay. That's the answer I wanted to hear, Phil. I didn't want you to try to parse it and say, well, in the last 17
No, look,
games,
I mean, at the end of last year, they didn't have Barzal. They didn't have, Nelson was already traded. They didn't have, Drew N should hopefully bring something to the table. They were down bad, as they say, at the end of the year. That team was awful. They had like Hudson Fasching on the third line. It was bad. It was bad news. At the beginning of last year, I would say, I know people keep saying, "Oh, this is the deepest roster they've put together in years." Like, this is not the deepest roster they've put together in years. I would say that in the organization, they have more players who can play at a decently high level if they're called upon. Like, I would say their 14th, 15th, and 16th forwards are better this year than they were last year. But at the top of the lineup, right, I think anyone who's pretending that they have successfully replaced what Brock Nelson brought to this team for so many years is just foolish. That guy was year in, year out for several years in a row a 30 to 35 goal scorer, right? Matthew Schaefer could end up being, assuming he plays this year, he could end up being a Hall of Fame player, but to expect at 18 years old that he's going to replace either the production or the overall contribution to Noah Dobson is just a tremendous leap of faith, and that's probably not going to happen straight off the bat, and that's even assuming he plays. So when you look at the subtractions from the opening night roster that they had last year, and they ran into injury trouble very, very quickly, I would say that team, at least on paper, is better than what they're likely going to roll out this year on opening night.
Yeah. The way to put it in a shorter, more, Phil Lee gives us some information, but
He gave us some background.
He gave us some background. Yeah, no way.
Like for me.
There you go. For people like you, X. For me, no shot. No shot.
I'll say this, though. If you look around the league and specifically at the Metro, most teams just keep getting worse. Most teams, I mean, the talent dilution in the league ever since the 32nd team was added is real. It is real. There are a lot of guys who are playing on these teams who are just like, that guy has no business being here. Like, you look at some teams and their second pair defense, like, who the hell is this? I've never even heard of this guy. What is this guy doing in the league?
And they're looking to add 2 more teams.
It's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous.
Atlanta is apparently a location that's supposed to get a team, and they've already failed before. Like, I don't get it.
And someone pointed out, like, you even look at the high caliber cup contending teams, and you can immediately identify 4 to 5 holes on each of these rosters. Like Edmonton, there's like 4 guys and then a box of Cracker Jacks. That team wasn't deep.
No. Well, they had the two of the top 5, the best player in the game.
Yeah.
And the other guys.
Right. Even
top
you look at Dallas last year, and it's just like the right side of their defense was Matt Dumba and Cody Cece and Liam Bishel or something, like just guys who are like, what those are guys on a contending team playing, top 4 minutes for them. Every team's got holes at this point, except Florida.
Except Florida.
Except Florida. Because everyone takes discounts to stay there.
I mean,
when you're winning, I mean, I do the same exact thing.
Yeah, Ekblad took a discount now. Sam Reiner took a discount last year. I would say the only guy who hasn't taken a discount there really, well, if you want to include Marchand, fine. But they stretched his deal out. He could have gotten a higher AAV on a lower term. I would say Bennett signed pretty much at full value there. He cashed in on the Conn Smythe. He cashed in on back-to-back rockstar playoff performance for them. And he's like, you know what? I've been making $4 million for so long. I'm getting paid now.
He's more valuable to them
than he is to any other team.
Than he is to any other team.
For sure.
But I think he would have got more money on the market. If he decided to go out, I think he would have got close to 10. And I'm not saying he deserved
but again, they gave him the 8th year. So 8 times 8 is 64.
Okay. So
you're saying he could have gotten 70 million instead of 64, but then you factor in the taxes.
Right. Yeah, I'm not talking about
he's going to come out ahead. Yeah, even if someone in Philly gave him 10 million, he still nets out better in Miami.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the financials. I'm just talking about he could have gotten more money, AAV, if he went to market. But here's the thing, he's perfect for that organization. And to me, they're going to be better next year, just because Matt Tkachuk is going to be healthy. He was absolutely.
Well, I don't know. I think they might hold Tkachuk out for quite a bit, because they're not cap compliant right now. They could probably go down to 21 men on the roster and trade Rodriguez, or they can have surgery for Tkachuk and then activate him in January when you have another injury that pops up to someone else. It wouldn't surprise me if they went that route. They don't need him. They don't need him to.
Not in the regular season, anyway.
Not in the regular season. They could sit him out the whole year. And this is the last year where the NHL is going to allow you to gimmick the system anyways. So why not take advantage?
Has there been any team that you look at and say, wow, they got better?
Except it's easier to identify the team that's like, wow, their GM is an idiot and they got worse. And this is Islanders related, because our ownership group wanted to hire this man first. But boy, did we dodge a bullet with Ken Holland, because I have no idea what the hell he's doing to the LA Kings. He took a perfectly fine roster and he has destroyed it. He has destroyed it with some of the worst signings of any team. If I want to look at a roster and say, do you have someone in mind that you're thinking of?
I think there's only one team that you can say potentially got better. And
other than Florida.
Yeah, other than Florida.
Oh, Montreal. Yeah.
Montreal. Yeah. And out west,
I like what Ottawa's done. I like that Spence trade a lot.
Yeah, it was a good.
How weird is that? Holland trades Spence for effectively nothing, only to replace him with Cody Cece.
I'm going to tell you what happened. He's having a senior moment, and he thought that he still had McDavid and Draisaitl on his team, and he could move all these other guys off. It didn't matter, but he's going to learn a hard way. We didn't want him.
No,
as GM. No, I would have.
I made a bold proclamation that if they hire Holland, I'm not going to watch anymore. So I'm very glad they didn't hire him.
Okay, that's not true. You would have watched.
Probably wasn't true, but
here's something interesting. I'll share this with you.
Come on, X. How come it's not up yet?
Hold on.
I'm trying to think, you know what? But here's the thing. There wasn't a lot of significant roster turnover, right? The best free agents. Who's the best free agent that moved teams? In your opinion, the top free agent that moved to, was it Mikael Granlund? Right, Besser stayed.
No,
all the top centermen stayed.
Okay, you got to say Marner. No,
I forgot about Marner. You are. How could I forget about Marner? Yes, Marner, Mitch Marner. Okay,
and I think
after Marner.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to work there, but I think there's going to be more pressure on him to be the man in Vegas now. I don't know. I mean,
this is that's a very funny tweet.
Okay, it says Cody. Okay, I can barely read this. Can you make
Cody Cece's agent? We're looking at 4 years, and we want $4 million for that. Holland says I don't know. How about $4 million a year? Cody Cece's agent thinking, holy shit, he thinks I mean per year? Ken Holland, would you do $4.5 million?
Or
Yeah.
it's like when Romanov signed his deal. X, do you have that article?
Yes. Hold on. I just took it down. Give me 2 seconds to pull it back up.
Not CC, the other article, the one with
No, I got it here.
our boy Romanov.
Well, Romanov said, I didn't even know that I was getting that kind of money.
This is it, and then I'll pull up the article. So
Just
if you
pull
want
up
to
the
read,
article.
okay, Jesus.
All I want is the article because that's what I want
All
to see.
right.
Why isn't the article up yet? What's taking so long to get up the article?
Okay, here's the article.
Okay, scroll down.
Hold on 1 second.
Scroll
Let me
down.
read
Keep
the
scrolling.
narrative.
There's one line here that I want. Okay, too far. Okay, here we go. Scroll down. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Okay. I wasn't expecting anything longer than 6. I definitely didn't expect this kind of number. Now the main thing is to hit the ice and prove I'm worth it. Well, that's not going to happen. You were hearing ridiculous numbers from 6x6. I'm like, there's no way you get 6x6. And what does the failed general manager, P.T. Dar, say? Let's give him 8x6.25 when we have a boatload of players coming up on the left side. This is smart. Just dumb. Just dumb. And that's why I don't give – that's why to answer your question going way back in the show, there's no freaking way that I'm apologizing for Matthew Darsh yet because the deals that he made with his existing guys are terrible. Terrible. Abominable. Poor Patrick Waugh. What's he going to do next? How is he going to keep this team afloat with Matthew Darsh as GM?
Are you reading comments?
Let's hit some comments, X.
Gotcha.
And just to let people know, we're going to be hitting less comments going forward in the show. This show actually ran a little long, but we're going
to tighten it up.
We're going to try to keep the show to an hour.
I'm speaking as if I'm part of the show.
Well, you are part of the show, Phil. We like you. I like Phil on the show. I like Phil. A lot of people hate Phil.
We'll come as often as we can.
Well, that's right. So they'll be every week on Wednesdays. And we're going to do the shows probably on Wednesdays at 9:00-ish because Phil's got to put his children to bed. So, and that I understand that. And to be a little bit more respectful of other people's time, we're not going to be doing 3-hour shows anymore, even 2-hour shows. Rich Arnold says, Etchison and Prokhorov are going to be beasts. We can only hope.
We hope so.
Yep.
State of Survival says, Yzerman looked like he needed to finish his degree, then join the team. Needs much more seasoning. I liked Eklund, though. Nice pickup.
Let's talk about the scrimmage.
Okay, well, Yzerman, like I said, he's Oliver Wahlstrom 2.0 from everything I've read.
I really don't care about scrimmages. I remember the last time they did a scrimmage back in 2019. They had this kid, walk-on, local kid. I think his name was Sam Sternshine, who had 4 goals. I was like, who the hell is Sam Sternshine? It's just what happens. Like, kids just – it's almost the same thing as preseason where you have a guy like Cam Thiesing who goes off or Julian Gauthier. It's like, oh, my gosh, this guy he's putting in the work. And I don't care. I really don't care.
You were extremely high on Julian Gauthier.
I was. You know what? Julian Gauthier – he was a first-round pick for a reason, and it's because he's got incredible size and speed together, which is just very rare. He is built like a horse. He's like 6'4", 235 pounds. He's a weightlifter. He's had some really, really cool highlight reel goals over the course of his career, but he's like the Tin Man. He doesn't have is it the Tin Man that doesn't have a brain? No, it's the Straw Man. I'm sorry.
It doesn't
have
matter.
a brain. If he only had a brain, he does not have a brain. He has every hockey tool you could possibly want: size, strength, physicality, speed. He just does not know how to play. Like, he was going in offside often, icing pucks from like 3 feet below the red line. He just doesn't know what he's doing. That's always been the problem with him, and he just never puts it together. Like, at the AHL level, he dominates. In juniors, he dominates. At the end, he's just not smart enough to play in the NHL, sadly.
And you remember what I said about him?
What did you say?
I said he's not making a team. He sucks. He's
Well,
training
he played like 35 games, had
he sucked.
6,
sucked.
7
He
goals.
proved to be what he was. You thought he was a first liner. I said no, he's not.
I thought we were going to get it out of him. And then when we hired Waugh, I'm like, finally, the Quebecois coach. Maybe it's a language barrier. Maybe Gauthier needs a coach who speaks French. And then the
Maybe.
first thing Wad did was like, I don't want this guy.
And
Wave him.
to let people know, Phil also thought that Anthony Duclair was going to solve our first line problems too.
He will this year, though,
Okay.
on a fully healed groin.
State of Survival says, did we sign Sipelcup? Not
Not
yet.
yet.
He will be signed though.
Yeah.
Gungun says, who'll be better, Darsh or Milbury? Milbury. What's a better means of aquatic transportation, submarine or ferry? I would say ferry because I don't want to be in a submarine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Remember what happened? Those people went down to see the Titanic.
That was Ocean Gate.
Yeah, whatever. They didn't make it back.
No, it imploded.
It imploded.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of being a submarine. I was actually thinking about that like a couple of weeks ago. Would I ever want to be in a submarine? Like, no, I don't like going on the water in general.
Me neither.
There's just too many things that could go wrong.
Bad things.
I like the water. I like going on boats.
You know what I don't like about the water? Drowning. That's it. That's
100%.
my big one.
We're not sea
You know,
creatures. We're meant to be on dry land.
Yeah, X. Now,
life,
X,
life preserver.
Phil, I don't know if you know this. X was he was a water butcher, I like to call him. He's slapping the hell out of the water, but he's like a piece of balsa wood. I remember he'd be swimming and there was like air in the back of his bathing suit. Like his body was so high in the water that it was like his bathing suit did not even suck to his body. It was like up in the air. There was another member of the family though. He swam like a stone.
He was an anchor.
He was an anchor.
TJ the anchor.
We're not mentioning any names. James Costa says, I'm hearing they want to run it, getting Kaprizov from Minnesota next year in free agency.
Them and everyone else.
Now,
Good.
we will talk about this on another show, talk about next year's free agent class, because it's a long way off, but it seems like it's going to be better than this year's.
Maybe.
Maybe.
The caveat is maybe. It might not be. It might also be boring because, I mean, this year no one ended up making it to free agency.
And that's what you see. That's the value of the salary cap going up when how much it went up, and it's going up like $8.5 million next year.
Yeah, okay. And the other thing to keep in mind with this particular group of RFAs, which is not RFAs, UFAs, McDavid, Makar, Kaprizov, Eichel, this is the last year of 8-year deals. So if these guys want to sign for 8 years, the last time to do that is now. If they want to sign with other teams next year, you could do these sign and trade tricks, I guess, but a sign and trade will be for 7 years. And if your team is not willing to facilitate a sign and trade, right? If Bill Guerin says to Kaprizov, well, if you want to leave, I'm not helping you out, then that's only 6 years.
Yeah.
So there is a pretty significant difference between 6 times the number versus 8 times the number.
And you're hearing guys like McDavid, in particular, maybe looking at 5-year deals so they can get another bite of the apple in 5 years.
Do you think he'll leave Edmonton?
When push comes to shove, I don't think so.
If he wants to win, he will. Maybe he's happy just being a guy who puts up a lot of stats.
I don't know. I don't know. I just had thoughts that he might.
If he leaves, he's going home to Toronto, though. I firmly believe that.
Ooh, that'd be a nice place for him. John Smith says, nice to have an active off season for once. Stage 5 goals. Let's tank and get McKenna. I'll be damned if the Penguins get him. Well,
Penguins are getting him.
The Penguins are getting him.
Penguins are setting themselves up to get him.
And the NHL, they had Mario. They got Sidney Crosby. They're going to get Gavin McKenna.
Funny how that works.
It is funny how that works.
It really is funny how that works.
We're not going to talk about
you do a lottery next year.
Do we want to talk about your conspiracy theories on another show, perhaps?
Yeah.
JP says, well, the free agents that the New York Islanders did sign were appropriate for where they are hockey ops wise. I know Darsh hasn't appeared to fire Fredo, but so far I believe he's done a competent job. That's what I want from my GM.
Yep.
Competent. Freedom Fundamentals says, look at how happy Sun X looked now that TJ was fired. Okay, bailing on tonight's episode since you are trying to make us all eat shit with this guest. Another one of Phil's fans. I don't know why people hate you, Phil. I don't understand. I think Phil's a very nice person. I've said that 100 times. Nick D says, Grumpy, Sun X, fiction. Fiction. How are you guys doing tonight? Grumpy, the disaster duo, D'Angelo and Romanov are together to leave Sorokin hanging out for another season. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. And I'm going to be laughing my ass off every single game when they're, oh, Tony D'Angelo's got 2 points. He was a -7 tonight. I mean, come on. You can't have that. Gungun says, Philz is a smart man. This will prove it. Philz finished this famous proverb. Confucius say, he who go to sleep with itchy butt, wake up with worms, probably.
I don't know. I don't know if he had the
I don't know. Gungun knows about Confucius. I don't know. He sounds like he's a communist. I don't know much about him.
We're going to the next one.
Brian John says, how come Son X has his hair still?
Better than Grumpy and TJ.
Oh, shut up, X. Michael T says, I find the Jonathan Drouin signing to be very intriguing. His last 2 seasons have been quite something. So, yeah, I find it intriguing also.
Stinky fingers, that's what it is. Stinky fingers is what they wake up with.
Oh, wow, okay. His last 2 seasons have been quite good. Well, that helps when you're playing on Colorado. All kidding aside, you're playing with Nathan McKinnon. You're going to put points up. You just are. But I think he'll help the team in the short run. Brett Wayner says, neither can read, but hopefully this one knows some pop culture, LOL.
I do know some pop culture.
He does know some pop culture. He does. Thomas Antonetti says, Gent, I love the moves by Darsh. We're cooking with gas. It's nice to have an embarrassment of riches up front. Cast off Engvall now. Wow, watch out. Phil's going to be a little bit unhappy with that. Don't even care what the return is. Declare 2. Another one of favorites. Phil likes all those trash guys. Thomas Antonetti goes, is it too much to ask for Howard as well? Do you see that as a realistic possibility? I'll let you touch that, Phil. I've talked about this already.
I have no idea. I don't know why Tampa's still holding him. So I don't know.
I'm still perplexed on why he doesn't want to play for Tampa. Don't get it. Johnny Pajamas says, Elliot Friedman thinks Dobson is going to get the JT treatment when he returns to UBS.
He will, yeah.
The Toronto media is so out of touch with reality. Maybe Toronto fans are crying about Marner. They're going to be booing Marner. That much I can guarantee you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Dobson's
boo Dobson.
They're going to boo Dobson. They will absolutely boo Dobson.
Not like Tavares, though. No way.
No, not like that. But it's going to be.
They brought in the Pajama Boy posters for Tavares.
Here's the thing. Noah Dobson is going to come there, and he's going to be happy to go home with a 7-1 win. He's very happy.
Will he have all 7 goals?
No, it doesn't matter. He's just going to go W. He'll just go like this, W. State of Survival says, is Boquist going to play as a forward, or is he slotted as a D-man? Why did we resign Ethan Bear instead of giving our depth like
Ethan Bear for the AHL?
Is it because Bear is a right-handed defenseman? I think that he's going to be in Bridgeport, but he also is a right-handed defenseman, and we have none of them in the minors. Not a one. Thomas Antonetti says, I was so glad to see the tremendous turnout for the blue and white scrimmage at Northwell Health Practice Facility. All right, we're not doing commercials for them, Thomas. There is definitely a fresh outlook, a new beginning with this team. I think there is a new beginning for the team.
There were a lot of people at that scrimmage, a lot.
Good. Well, what does it tell you? Lou Lamoriello was a screw-up for all those years, not letting the fans look at these young players. Gungun says, I sense that Son X is a kind-hearted man. He is. Philz, is it impossible in Canada to work on your tan? Well, look at Phil.
We got sun here. We got some sun up here.
Phil lives in a basement. He's got a whole bunch of women live in that house, and believe me, he's like second-class citizen there. Alana Avatal says, Son X can't read. Sounds like TJ.
Runs in the family.
It does. Michael T says, an interesting fact about Drouin is he can play center or left wing.
He does not play center.
He's going to be left wing. Yeah. Gungun says it's official. Both the sons of Parisi and Drouin will be an Islander. Grumpy, how high do you rate the singer Robin Zander? He was okay. He was okay for Cheap Trick. He's all right. Look at all these people going in there. Actually,
that's a lot.
That is a lot. They're excited to see their prospects. All children. You don't see many adults. You got to indoctrinate them while they're young, right, Phil? That's what you got to do.
Was this a pre-scrimmage?
I don't think they charged.
Well, I have no idea. I don't know.
I mean, no, they're not charging anybody. Look at the way they're coming in. They're not charging. Brandon Gaines says the Islanders won't be in contention next year. Bad right-handed defense, bad backup goaltending, bad coaches. Have Pajot Lee and TDA rack up.
Tony DeAngelo. Rack up as many points as possible so you can get 2 more firsts in 2026. Okay, that's an interesting question. I'm usually just reading comments, making snap judgments. If Tony DeAngelo puts up big numbers, would you move him at the deadline? Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just think he's a pariah. Brandon Gaines adds, Let Richie marinate with top line minutes in the AHL and have Schaefer marinate in the NCAA. God, gosh darn it, till 26 and 27. Yes, I agree with both. Brandon Gaines and boy, look at X. Brandon Gaines getting a lot of run today with Sun X. It's funny. You look at the people who Sun X puts comments up from comments as opposed to some other people. Problem with Dobson is that he's really good, just not 9.5 times 8 really good. Where is he going to get his points? He sure as hell ain't getting PP one time from Hudson. We don't know that. I think he's going to put up more points than you think. Brett Weiner says the scrimmage today was $15. $15? That should be free. I'm sorry. Xpun 3414 says, I agree with Grump on Romy. Yep. Frank from Empire State. Lou never had the fans this excited the past few years. He didn't care. Matt C says, did you guys watch the blue and white trims? I did not.
Nope.
Did you, Phil? No. Such a pleasant experience now that the loser is out. Darcy and Wah were sitting with the fans for crying out loud. X, do you remember when the Islanders came down and played the Carolina Hurricanes in their first game ever, an exhibition game at Greensboro Coliseum? And we went over and met somebody who was a member of the Islanders front office. Do you remember?
How old was I at this time?
Young as hell.
So you're asking me if I remember something from when I was young.
It was Mike Milbury.
I was going to say Milbury. And did he take his shoe off? Oh,
he did not. He did not take his shoe off. But we talked with him for quite a while. Zdeno Chara was still.
I remember Chara was, and what wasn't Ginla also?
No. Okay, just stop talking. I will feed you. I'll feed you the lines to make you look good. Don't go out on your own because you just embarrassed yourself.
With the team.
Michael T says, how far have Pulak and Pelech fallen off? Yeesh. I'd say from their glory days of 2019-20, I would say they've probably dropped their play 15%. Phil, what do you think? 15? Okay.
No.
David S. says, what grade did you give Darsh overall so far? I give him on the draft. I guess I'll give him credit for the draft, even though it had nothing to do with it. I give him an A for certain on the draft. I give him for signing free agents a B-, and for re-signing his own guy a D.
So cumulative grade of about a C?
I'll give him a
C plus?
I'll give him a B. I'll give him a B-.
B minus.
And it's only because of the guys he gave too much term to, Romanoff, and just signing Palmieri back was just mind-boggling to me. Michael T says, I'd give Darsh a B overall at this point. That's fair.
Arguable.
AP says, I don't love the Romanov contract, but for a team not winning anytime soon, he is the entertainment, I guess. Isn't Aitchison just Romanoff younger? Same guy.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Same guy. He needs to learn how to play positionally. It's not about running guys. And that's the first thing I saw when I'm watching. I'm like, dude, all right, you're making some defensive plays, but it's not about hitting everybody.
I like that.
I know you do, X.
Send him to the hospital.
There you go. There's Mr. X. Frank from Empire State goes, I'd like to thank the POS Lamarillos, especially Fredo, for being the worst GM in sports history. I heard the other day they may move the Bridgeport Islanders to Canada due to poor attendance.
Wow.
Interesting. I've heard the same thing.
Yeah, I think you could put a great AHL team in Bridgeport. People still won't come. It's just it's never been a draw there. They've had good prospects that have gone to Bridgeport over the past 2 decades, and no one comes out there. If you have an opportunity to go to a city like Hamilton where these people breathe it and love it and need it, and you can play in front of 8,000 to 10,000 fans on a nightly basis and boost revenue streams like that, and then especially when, you get a higher concentration of kids from Southern Ontario than Connecticut, New York anyways. It just, there's a lot that makes sense about getting Hamilton. And I hope they do.
Yep.
Not just because I live here, but I think for the organization, I think it's good.
But it doesn't hurt for you.
Doesn't hurt. No, go down the road and see a couple games. Why not?
Actually, just learned something about Phil. He only cares about himself.
That's
Let me
right.
tell you something. He's a freaking parasite, this Phil.
The Hamilton Islanders.
Ugh, no, you got to name something else. Name the Tiger Cats.
The Hamilton Canucks.
The Hamilton Hacksaws.
Oh, wow. Hamilton acts. No, that doesn't work either. How about
Hamilton is. I want to say Hamilton's like a steel town. Maybe the Hamilton Steelers.
Oh, Steelers. That's a nice name. That's always good. Hard hats. Yeah, I like it. Gungun says, if the Islanders somehow squeak into the playoffs, would Darsh be considered an Islanders icon? Why are the most tchotchkes made in Taiwan? Because it's cheap to make them there, and he's not an icon. I don't care what he does.
Okay. What if they win a cup?
They're not winning a cup. Come on.
I'm saying if.
Then guess what? The apocalypse is truly upon us. That's all I have to say.
Grumpy, you better be prepared, buddy.
The good guy wins one. Am I missing something on Richie? His stats in juniors haven't been eye-popping. What's the hype behind him? He's a two-way player.
His stats in junior are very good. I don't know what this guy's talking about.
Oh, you got a challenge there.
I mean, in his draft year, he had 80 points in 50 games.
Maybe he's looking at Michael Misa's numbers.
Well, I mean, if you're comparing it to Misa, yeah, it's not as good as Misa's, but his numbers are good.
But everything about him is that he's a two-way center.
Yeah,
which you need guys like that.
yeah.
Mr. Jam Span.
He's also big. He's very big.
Not as big as Prokhorov. He's pretty big.
No, Prokhorov's a beast.
No, look at this. Look at X 6'2", 185. Yeah, okay. Isaiah George, there's no way that he's 200. I'm sorry, no freaking way. Look at those points. I don't know.
Good
Maybe
playoff point totals.
Just okay. He's been all right. Okay, next X. I don't like his haircut. Needs a better haircut. Mr. Jam Span says, Richie looks like he's got the pro size frame, but I'm not sure he's quite ready to play center in the AHL. Play him on right wing. Start him in the AHL. Start him in the AHL at center because that's the position you want him at. Let's learn that position. Let's get better at it. Let's play against men. Let's be more physical. Yes, let's do it. Michael T says, Wow will get the most out of Drouin. I hope so. Wouldn't it be great if he's a 60, 70-point guy? Johnny Pajamas says, with the Islanders hosting the last at game next season, with Dobson gone, aside from Sorokin, who's representing the team? Does Schaefer make it? No. Probably the All-Star game next year.
Yeah, All-Star game.
Glenn Goldberg says, which was worse, the picks for Taves or the return for Dobson? I guess you would have to say the picks for Taves were worse.
Yeah.
Right now, it's 2 seconds. At least we don't know what the first round picks are going to be, but I like their pedigree better than what we got for Taves. Taves has been, he's an all-star. So Nick Canetta says, with how Darsh handled this free agency, it's more obvious than ever. They're definitely trading vets. Zeker, JG, Lee, definitely being dealt. Maybe Pellick too. They should be.
I mean, but I don't think yet. I think anyone who's going to be traded will be at the trade deadline.
And that's when you get your most value for those veterans.
Yeah.
And it sets you up for next year's draft. That's all I care about right now. Frank from Empire State guys, X-Man's doing a good job.
He's doing great.
Hit the thumbs up.
Look at you, X.
I'm trying.
State of Survival says, I can't see anyone beating Florida this upcoming season with both Jones and Ekblad. This team is going to beat our record. Phil, would it bother you if they won 4 Stanley Cups in a row?
No.
Me neither. I think it would be a greater accomplishment
For sure.
than what the Islanders did, because to do things like this in free agency era is almost impossible.
Yep.
And I mean, all these guys are just kind of selling out.
Where do you think Nikolai Ehlers is going?
Carolina.
Right.
Ooh, I like this. Oh, what
That's way too close in.
Yeah, it's got to be Carolina, no?
Yeah, I think so. It's odd that he hasn't picked a spot yet. I mean, he had all this time to think about it.
They said that, he likes to think things out. Okay.
I guess so. Like, you would have thought that he would have done all that thinking over the past month or so. Right.
You would think. Chris Gavalas says, what exactly is the league planning to do with LTIR, and how do they close the loophole?
The way they are closing the loophole is that starting next year, not this coming year, next year, your 20-man active game day roster needs to be cap compliant for the playoffs. So the 20 men...
You need to activate somebody.
Meaning
activate them before the start of the playoffs.
Yeah, but like for example, if you have, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a big issue because of how big the cap jump is going to be by then. But you're not going to, if you're like with 20 guys, I mean, how many teams with 20 guys are over the cap? It's
Not too many.
not too many. It's once you get 22, 23, you know. So I don't think it's going to really change much.
I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Eddie Benke, sorry, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing Benke right. Schaefer is starting this year, and Richie might as well. And all I know is Schaefer already looked better than Isaiah George today at the scrimmage. He's good.
Yep.
He's good. And Eddie Benke once again says, how is Schaefer going to start in college if he's already stated he's doing everything he can to make the roster? You think the team is going to force him into college? He's a first overall pick.
I'm not, again, I think I told you yesterday, I think they're just going to force him onto the roster and keep him there because that's just what they want to do. We gave our opinion on what we think the right thing is, but that doesn't mean they'll do the right thing.
Yeah, that's what loser teams do. Loser teams do stuff like that. They force guys up just because. So, X. Hit the like button, people, says XPun3414. Please hit the like button. You help us out. We need the help. We do.
We do need the help. We do need the
All
help.
right. The show is still longer than we had hoped, but at an hour and
We're
30
working
minutes.
on it. We're working on it.
For first time out, 1:30 was pretty good, I got to say. And I'm so glad, Phil, like I said, Phil, you're going to be on the show a lot. Clear out your Wednesdays. Tell your wife, clear them out because we like your yang to my yang, honestly. So I like that. And X, you were pretty good today, too.
I tried.
Now, since the show is over, X, you know what we used to say on that? We ask people if they anything they like to do, anything you want to say.
I can't remember.
Okay. I'm going to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't. From TJ in absentia, the grumpy old man, Son X, and Philz Facts.
That's right.
X, Phil, would you like to say anything before we sign off tonight?
Thank you for having me on. Hope to do this as many times as we possibly can throughout the off season and throughout the season. And let's go Islanders.
Let's go Islanders. Exciting, Phil. I love your sign off. X, what about you?
Love the interaction in the comments, as always, from everybody. Isles Nation, we're ready. Hopefully we have a great season this year or /tank for the draft next year, as Grumpy wants. So, yeah, love the interaction in the comments as always. Appreciate you guys coming out and listening, and we will see you guys next time.